Today is a first. I've got two guests on Part of the System, Mandy Nolton and Kerry Irwin, a powerful double act. Mandy has over 25 years experience in the physical activity sector of local government as a consultant, contractor and employee of numerous councils across Victoria. As the Managing Director of Rec People, Mandy has been supporting local government to activate communities for over 13 years. Mandy is passionate about building the capacity of the local government sector to provide opportunities for communities to be more active more often. Mandy aims to recruit and support a diverse local government workforce to deliver local, state, and national physical activity objectives, with the ultimate outcome of improving people's quality of life. Now, Kerry is a transformative public sector and community leader, creating environments that foster access, equity, sustainability, and participation for more than 25 years. She's led large-scale, longer-term, multi-dimensional policy and planning across portfolios, such as physical activity, gender equity, and prevention of violence against women, environmental sustainability, engagement, health, and well-being, and also active transport. Kerry is highly strategic, collaborative, energetic, and well-networked, and is known for her tenacity to drive organizational excellence, positive and enduring outcomes, and she just makes things happen. Kerry is also a freelance consultant, board director and volunteer, including founding member of Women in Gippsland Advertising Inequality Project and the Put Her Name on It campaign. So I'm really thrilled today to welcome both Mandy and Kerry. How are you going?
Oh, I'm very good. Thank you, David. That makes it sound amazing, doesn't it, Kerry?
Keep going.
I'd employ us for sure, or at least listen to us on, for the next 30 or 40 minutes or so on this podcast.
Yeah. Well, welcome. And I had to cut that short, so otherwise I'd be talking about you for about half an hour. But yeah, thank you for giving me some time this morning, and we'll kick straight in. So I'll throw over to you, Mandy, first. What does well-being mean to you?
Oh, look, that's a big question. I actually have had a little bit of a think about this one. For me, well-being is about mental health and physical health.
Yeah.
And I would put mental health first. So, if for me, if my mind allows me to do the things that make me feel productive or that give me purpose in life. So if I can be productive and I can contribute and I've got good, strong mental health, then I can, build relationships, I can work, I can be a functioning human being in society. Then there's the physical health. So obviously, good physical health, which means I can move around, I've got mobility, I can lift things, I can go do my shopping, etc., etc. And then that feeds into good physical, good mental health. That's what well-being is for me, really.
Yeah, cool. And what about you, Kerry?
Well, I want to live to 100, so well-being's pretty damn important to me. So many years ago, I watched a documentary on the Okinawa people of Japan. They're part of the Blue Zone. They live really long lives, and it was described, their well-being formula was described as a stool. It's got 4 legs, and those legs are physical, emotional, social, and spiritual well-being. And if one of those legs is not functioning well or is broken, the stool falls over.
Yeah.
So it's important to balance all of those, those areas up. So that really resonated with me. So, for me, well-being's a stool. And if I want to live to my 100 and I want to live well, then I've got to attend to all of those 4 legs.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, so I'm not keen to live to 100 at all. Like I do not want to live to 100, but I want to live a good, healthy life while I have it. But longevity is not one of my goals, but it is for you, Kerry.
It is, definitely. I've always wanted to live till, I don't know, but now it's possible, and could be longer. By the time I get there, it might be, no, I'm going to raise the bar. I want to be 120.
And I think you're right. We are living longer, obviously, statistically, but are we living healthier?
No.
And that's the key piece, isn't it? But in terms of living to 100, Kerry, so what are some of the things that you do to look after your well-being?
Well, I've got a lot of tools in my toolkit, and I like to use them all. So, I like to. I'm not very big on routine though. So, I like to rise early and then see how I feel.
Yeah.
So if I feel like meditating or running or riding or writing or doing a post on social media or doing some of my voluntary work, I sort of try and see how I feel for the day. But for me, movement is very, very important. And I simply love to move. I love the feeling it provides, physically and mentally. And I feel more alive, more productive, more focused, and it's the best version of me when I'm moving. And so if I'm not moving in some way, shape or form, my overall well-being probably suffers. So but as we were talking before, where my environment that I live in, I like being free and having choices, and and going with where my energy is. That's sort of how I look at my well-being and the things that I do. But yeah, it's free range, and anything's possible.
Yeah.
Every day of the week's different.
And I think on that, I mean, where are you today?
So I'm down at the beautiful Phillip Island in Cowes. My summer home is a caravan that we did up last year during COVID. Well, I had the ideas, my partner did most of it. And the beach is about 30 paces north. So, it's a beautiful space to be inspired and to, I do my best work when I'm by the sea and can go down there and, get in the water and just be near it, the smell of it, the sound of it, the feel of it.
Yeah, amazing. And what about you, Mandy? What are some of the things that you do to look after your well-being?
Well, I guess something that Kerry said, and she inspired me with this, quite some time ago, is she said, go where your energy takes you.
Yeah.
Because I think I was trying to force something. I can't remember what I was working on, and I was trying to force something and my energy wasn't taking me there. And she just said, look, just go where your energy takes me. And I still use that to this day.
Oh.
So for me, it's about sort of that ebb and flow of, yes, I'd like to say that I exercise every day and that I stretch and that I meditate and I only eat healthy foods and that I keep great relationships with all my family and friends. I'll be honest, I don't do that every day, but I aspire to do elements of that every day, and I balance that. And I think the biggest thing for me to staying well is to make sure that I balance that, and that I'm also kind to myself when I don't get the balance right. Because I've had chronic fatigue in my life, and that was probably a good 5 years out of my life that things weren't in balance. And that really taught me that you have to be kind to yourself. And there's some days when you can't do all of that. And then there's other days when you're a hell of a lot more productive and you can, or you nail your eating and all you've eaten is fruit and vegetables and salads and stuff. And then the next day you might live on cereal and toast. But, I don't beat myself up over that sort of stuff. But like you, Kerry, I like to move. I like to use my own legs and my own ability to get around. And when I'm moving, I feel better. I feel more productive, and my head's better. That's all. So yeah, food, eating well, exercising, and having good relationships, and being productive and working.
Yeah. So that self-care really is coming through for me there for yourself. And yeah, we're busy, aren't we? People's lives are busy, and families and work, and you can't always do everything that you want to do. And
No.
but just some common themes in there to keep your well-being in check. And rec people. So Mandy, I'll stick with you as in terms of rec people, can you tell me a bit more about your organization within the health and wellness system?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I find it hard sort of explaining what we do, but because we've been doing it for so long. But if I start with the fact that rec people supports councils to activate their communities, that's probably it in a nutshell. So if we look at local government and we go, well, look, councils have the responsibility, for improving the health and well-being of their communities through the Health and Wellbeing Act, that's right, Health and Wellbeing Act. So councils need to write a municipal public health and wellbeing plan every 4 years. And in that strategy, there's objectives and outcomes, outputs, etc., to achieving healthy communities. So because councils do that, we actually work with local government to ensure that they can deliver those objectives, and mainly relating to physical activity objectives. So the health and wellbeing plans include other things as well, but we don't get involved in all aspects of health and wellbeing. It's mainly physical activity because we work with the sport, rec and leisure departments of local government. So our business, we've been going for 13 years. And everyone that works in our business has worked in local government before, so we all know how it works. And most of us have worked for a very long time in local government across lots of different councils, so we've got fairly extensive experience in leadership roles and in operational roles as well. So we support local councils to activate their communities. We do that by providing staff. So we look for the best talent that's going to best fill those positions, either in a permanent or temporary capacity. So in the temp, we've got a mobile workforce. That mobile workforce consists of people who've all worked in local government as well. And they can jump in, backfill roles. They might pick up projects where there's just an increased demand for extra human resources. So we do that. But people might be backfilling roles because people have gone away on leave, etc. And probably the thing that I'm really, really proud of, because we have been doing the staffing side of things for quite some time, but the thing that I'm super proud of is our professional development series that we've been running. So we had this on the books for quite some time, but of course, your normal sort of business activities take up most of your time. But when COVID hit, it gave us more time to focus on developing the professional development series. So Kerry's been absolutely instrumental in delivering this. But what we now do is we put on courses for people who are working in local government or those who are wanting to get into it or are fairly new. We're both Victorian based here. So we had a program through the state government called Working for Victoria, and they were funded positions where councils could employ people for 6 months.
Right.
And a lot of people came into local government to activate their communities or support their sporting clubs or whatever it might be. That really needed upskilling very quickly, and they needed an induction into local government as well as an induction into the particular role that they were doing. So we essentially just activated a whole heap of courses, very short courses, and they're not accredited, but they're very practical, and we've got people delivering those courses, including ourselves, but other people who work in local government. So they're really, really practical, hands-on courses, and we adjust them every time we do them because of, well, life is adjusting as we go, isn't it, with COVID, etc. So we've run physical activity and activation, we've done sports development, we've done recreation planning. We're in the process of designing a diversity and inclusion course, which will roll out in a couple of months. And then we've got a couple of others on the books as well. So we've been delivering those throughout the COVID pandemic, and they've been really, really well received, as well as forums. We run a forum called This World Can, which is a professional development forum for anyone in local government in the sport, rec and leisure space to attend. Yeah. And they're free, so you don't have to pay for them. It's great networking, so people can come. It's like this, Zoom, so you can see people and you can talk to other people. It's not, we haven't gone down the webinar path because the webinars don't give you the opportunity to interact with other people. And we feel that interacting with other people and networking with other people is building capacity just as much as us imparting some information to someone. So you need to have that combination of the two things. And we ran those pretty much, we were running those weekly when COVID started, and now we're dropping them back to every month to 2 months. But they have a professional development element to them in that we have a panel of speakers that will talk about a particular topic that's relevant to anyone who works in sport, rec and leisure. So it's quite generic. And then we go into breakout rooms. So you might go into the sports development breakout room, or you might go in the rec planning breakout room and unpack that concept a little bit more in relation to your field of expertise. So that's sorry, I could talk about this forever, but we're really proud of that, and we're really pleased that we've been able to get that off the ground. But we also have a number of volunteers that work in councils that actually help deliver that program.
Mhm.
And they're facilitators in the conversation rooms, in the breakout rooms. And without this team doing it, we would not be able to deliver this to our community, our local government community.
Yeah, well, from a personal point of view, I've jumped on This Girl, not This Girl Can, it's This Woman Can, and yeah, was fantastic in terms of the knowledge sharing and the networking, and really supporting the industry. And I commend you for doing that through COVID when it's been a challenging time. And in terms of someone who's worked in local government for a number of years, I think to have that professional development and support for people in the in local councils is fantastic. So yeah, I think you guys do a great job. And just jumping over to you, Kerry, and we'll switch it up a little bit. But in terms of you look at chronic diseases within Australia, and 1 in 2's got one these days, and we don't seem to be improving that. And Mandy, you talked about health and wellbeing plans for local government. Kerry, how do you think we could try and nudge the system to improve the wellbeing of Australians?
So, as I said before, I had a bit of a gap year last year, took a bit of a pause to think and travel and explore and go where my energy is. And I definitely got the break I was looking for, and everybody joined me because of COVID. But COVID helped really shine the light on the role I might play in advocating for my passion, which is around increasing participation in physical activity. And I also have the passion around gender equality.
Yeah.
It also highlighted the focus and investment on physical activity. It's gendered, it favours men and sport.
Yeah.
If you think of, physical activity as sport, active transport, active rec and active living, sport's just a part of that whole system, and yet it seems to get, a majority of the attention. So I want to challenge that and ensure that everyone has the opportunity to be active and get the resources they need to support their physical activity journey, and of course, the wellbeing of the nation. So physical activity is obviously my key, my real focus. And look, this will be a shift, and it'll be quite uncomfortable for some, because it's not about focusing on sport, as sport is important. It's an important part of physical activity. It's just not the only part.
Yeah.
And I want everyone to be able to experience the benefits of an active, healthy lifestyle. And that needs a think and act different sort of approach. I want to see physical activity or inactivity become a priority of all levels of government. And to do that, I'm prepared to ramp up sort of my advocacy efforts, for better outcomes. So to make the change that, that I, want to see happen, like I've always referred to the sector that I'm part of as sport and rec, and you'll notice that Mandy started to say physical activity as well. I'm now referring to it as physical activity, and I want to encourage others to do it, because I think, once again, where your attention goes, your energy flows. So my nudge is around language to start with, it's a very simple change, strategy. It's about foundation sort of things. And, for an example, physical activity Victoria, or active Victoria, or active Australia, or, physical activity or active departments or offices, starting to shift the language of the sector that's often referred to as sport and rec, and yet the objectives are higher order around becoming active communities. And, so this is sort of, my primary nudge to, for the wellbeing. It seems like a small step, but as I said, where your attention goes, your energy flows. And if we can just change our language first. The second thing that I really want to do is, in Victoria, creating active, healthy communities, as we talked about in health and wellbeing plans. It's a real objective of many, of the 79 local councils embedded in key plans, but rarely do their systems, structures, their alignment, investment, and their capabilities actually reflect that objective. So I want local government to take its rightful role as a powerful leader in creating active communities, and I want to be part of building that capacity to do this, important life-changing and, actually life-saving work.
Yeah, cool. There's a lot in that, and I think language, first of all, terminology, so important, isn't it? It's not just about sport, and physical activity, and getting your 150 minutes per week or whatever. It can be done in walking or whatever, you know, in terms of that active transport that you kind of talk about. And I'm really interested in you talking about, you know, all the councils in Victoria with the health and wellbeing plans. So have you got any idea how you would evaluate or monitor the outcomes of those plans? Or is there any, you know, do we need to be looking at something that's you know, coordinated across them all?
Physical activity is one of the 4 primary focus areas. So the Department of Health and Human Services monitor or are in charge of the Health and Wellbeing Act, which
Right.
you know, includes every council every 4 years developing a health and wellbeing plan.
Yeah.
You know, any health and wellbeing priority can be part of that, but the Department of Health and Services have prioritised 4, of which physical activity is one of, or building active communities is one of those.
Yeah.
They're still seen, and this once again, you know, I want to be as positive as possible, but I've worked in a lot of councils where those plans are basically a tick box. They're developed and they're usually a compilation of things that are already being done. They're not necessarily a compilation of things that we need to be doing to, you know, to get more people more active more often, and hence often not a robust evaluation system in place to see, you know, to monitor that progress.
Yeah.
And, you know, local government don't have the sole role of getting people active, but partnerships, you know, are key, you know, and so embedding in those health and wellbeing plans, partnerships for physical activity. So if every local government area has a partnership or a governance structure around how they're going to get people active, that's a really, really good start. So you build and strengthen the partnership, so the system is working together. You know, internal, aligning your internal resources as well as reaching out to your external partners, and then developing a plan that is robust and that will, you know, and evidence-based, not just what we have always done or what we think we should do, actually basing it on evidence will give us the best possible chance of achieving and more active communities.
Yeah, and I can, you know, from the work that you've done over the years, obviously equity is and gender equity is a massive passion area for you. You've talked about terminology, language, but how can we get more people active from disadvantaged communities?
Do you want to go first, Mandy, or do you want me to?
Oh, look, I think you're probably the expert on this one, but there's no simple answer. There's too many intersections, isn't there, Kerry? Yeah.
There's many intersections, but I have one word. I have concrete.
Right.
So this is my number one, you know, hack for you know, getting, you know, having a more equality around how we get people active. Is often it's around, you know, our default will be okay, sporting clubs, they're a setting, you know, we need to get more diverse people on their committees. We need, you know, coaches, officials, everyone being more diverse. We need to think about access and equality and all that in clubs, because it's quite often a default and an easier option, even though it's very difficult because they're all volunteers. It's often where our mind goes to first. Why I say concrete is that everybody, you know, most people say they either do it or they want to walk, cycle, scoot, skate, roller, whatever it, push more, or they already do it. And if everyone had the opportunity to do those things from their home to the destinations that they want to go to, or just purely from a recreational point of view, you know, that would help with the health and well-being and equality across that for more people, because a majority of people already want to do those things. The sports sector is a small portion of our society. Physical activity or walking and cycling captures a much bigger group. And so it should be our default position that we aim to ensure that, you know, walking is safe and accessible for everyone. But it's not only just about getting the paths in place, it's also about how they look. So imagine if every local government fixed the paths that went to nowhere, joined up the network, beautified those key routes with art, trees, history, and they marketed walking as a legitimate alternative to driving, a beneficial activity, and the coolest thing to do. Imagine what that might do for inclusion, for individuals, communities, and societal well-being.
Yeah.
And let's not forget, it's great for the planet and the economy as well. So that's why I say concrete. Paths are absolutely gold star when it comes to physical activity and around getting our most disadvantaged being involved in a free activity.
And I think active environments is what you're talking about, and sport is just part of a bigger ecosystem that we're kind of working in. And Mandy, have you got anything there you'd like to add?
Look, when you asked the question about if you could nudge something, what would you nudge to get people healthier? I would have said active transport, and that's led into this discussion because we all have to go places. We all have to go do our shopping. I don't know many people who are self-sustaining on their own, 500 square meter, block. So we all have to go to the shops. We all have to take kids to school. We all have to, well, not right now, but we generally go to work. We commute to work. We go and see friends and family. So people have to move around. So why not take that? So you're not even having to motivate them to do it. They already have to go and do it. What we can do is we can change the mode in which they do it. So instead of just going straight to the driveway and picking up the keys and jumping in the car, and this is what I do a lot, is I get around on a bike. So, I'm in a different location to where I would normally be. Right now, it's an hour and a half away from where my car is. So I cannot, if I need to get groceries, I have to ride a K and a half to the supermarket. So, and I've done that on purpose because I have no other choice. So it means that I know every day I'm going to have some form of physical activity because I have to eat or I have to go and do certain things. So if we make those choices easier for people, then they're not making that choice as to whether they have to go do that activity or not. It's just how they're going to get there and back. So kids riding bikes to schools, etc. So yes, I would be very much focusing on active transport opportunities, and I'm seeing that happening a lot more in Victoria now. I'm not sure. I think New South Wales is doing a lot more in that space too. And we're starting to see a lot more on-road paths, off-road paths, etc., being developed, kick-started as a result of COVID. But we were doing it pretty well in Melbourne anyway, but we've ramped that up. So, that's what
I love it. And I'm going to have to be honest here. We've got just over 3 minutes left because I haven't got an upgraded Zoom account. So I think I need to change that. But I'll jump on to my last question, and I'll start with you, Mandy. And the work that reg people do, as I said, is fantastic. And linking that to well-being, employment is such an important part of people's lives in terms of purpose and, feeling, good about themselves and stuff. And you obviously do a lot of work with local government, but where do you see yourself personally in the system? And how do you contribute and influence it?
Well, I guess because I've worked in local government. That was the first job really that I got coming out of uni. And so I have a real personal connection to this space. But I also know that when I started in the industry, which was quite a few years ago, it was easy. It was actually fairly easy to get a job, and it's not now. And it's very difficult for young people. It's very difficult for graduates, and it's very difficult for international students who come out here. They spend a lot of money on a course, and the job opportunities are really challenging for everyone. Pardon me. So I guess what I'm really passionate about is providing pathway opportunities for people to get into the sector, and whether it's through a graduate program or whether it's through some temporary work or some volunteer work or being part of our forums, and getting further education. That's what we're trying to achieve, because we need to get more people into the sector who are going to help achieve these physical activity outcomes.
Yeah, that's awesome. Very well put. And Kerry, the same question to you.
I'm merely a speck in the stratosphere, but nobody can do everything, but everybody can do something. And while I don't feel that I'm in a position of power to do any influencing here, I certainly am a natural collaborator, and also have the energy and drive and time to try and make things happen. So for me, it's about connecting with people like yourself, David. You know, I'm just reaching out to peak bodies, other organisations, people that I know, universities, anybody, and trying to talk to them about exactly what we've talked about today, creating a physical activity a movement, a generation of active Australians. I call it a whole range of things. Let's get physical, and really trying to put it on their agenda and talk to them about their ideas and, you know, how we can do this together. But my real passion is about building local government's capacity and capability, and believe I have a lot of insight into doing that, and that's where I'll be targeting my energies.
Yeah, fantastic. And I think, you know, it is a big system, it is complex, but, you know, working together, you know, we can really achieve some fantastic things, and that's working across boundaries, sectors, you know, a common purpose, as you say, to get more people more active. So I'm really inspired by both of you, and I think you're doing some incredible work. And, you know, I just wanted to thank you for giving me the time this morning.